Dark, classic, rogue. Step the game up.
Another day, another GSL Codas. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is Rapid. And we got a lot of ZBZs and hopefully some great ZBPs coming up here.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting group to watch. We kind of saw the mirror matchup of this in week 1 of the round of 16. It was 1 Zerg and 3 Terrans, and the 1 Zerg made it out 4-0. Tonight, it is 1 Protoss and Classic and a lot of Zerg. But here's the way things look so far. We've got Solar and SOS, Innovation and Beyond already advancing to the round of 8.
Yeah, Solar versus SOS is going to be a lot of fun. SOS, again, the guy I'm always kind of predicting. Innovation Beyond as well. That's going to be so cool. Now, soO, a guy who needs little introduction. In a lot of ways, the most storied player in StarCraft 2
soO's
that there is.
soO's got as much silver as Twitch chat has salt, man. Lots of it. Here is Dark, his opponent for the first game of the night, a guy that's been a legendary Zerg player, but still kind of struggling in that matchup currently. And this is the lone Protoss in the group. He has won GSL before, but it's a much different scene this time around.
Right. Classic, obviously one of the greatest Protosses there is, but he's up against so many good Zergs. We've already seen our first two, and the final one is Rogue. Rogue, a great player, but also a remarkably inconsistent player with the results in the games that he brings. Whether it was 2016 or 2017, I'm not trying to take the wind out of his sails, but we're gonna have to see how he does today before we get our games. Started, we got a quick video for you guys. Enjoy.
를 노리려고 왔는데
좋은 기억이 없어가지고
항상 최악의 조에 걸리다 보니까 오늘까지 최악의 조에 걸리진 않겠지라는 생각으로 왔고.
있는 선수들 중에서 저 선수는 어떻게 생각하세요?
괜찮죠?
괜찮아요?
네. 먼저 뽑으면은 좀 독하게 준비해가지고 자연스럽게 왔으면 좋겠네요.
저는 안 뽑는 걸 추천하겠습니다.
저는 윤수 형이랑 하기 싫다고 했는데 유독 민수만이 좀 약간 자신감을 표출했거든요.
그러니까 만약에 저를 뽑으시면 저는 뭐 죽음의 길로 같이 가는 거고.
없어요?
윤수 형 그냥 사랑합니다.
아, 그냥 사랑하고?
네.
다른조에서 적을 가져가기 어렵고.
박명호야, 박명호. 와, 박명호. 와, 대박.
테란만 아니면 무난할 것 같다 생각할 것 같은데.
오,
역시.
이것도
김미전의 달인.
아까 지현이 얘기 들어봤는데 뭐 팀원을 이렇게 뽑는다고 하더라고요. 자기를 뽑으면은. 근데 저는 팀원 좋거든요.
그렇죠.
원래 좋아하잖아요.
네, 뭐 도호 형 아니면 령우인데 솔직히 일석이조라고 생각했습니다.
신영이가 갔기 때문에 이제 믿을 것 없다.
저 개인적으로 그럼 뽑고 싶은 종족 있어요?
일단 프로토스를 뽑을 것 같거든요. 아무래도. 네.
그 아까 전에 그 판짜기로라면 김도?
윤수 형도 괜찮아 하시는 것 같더라고요.
아니 근데 잠깐만요. 조지현 선수 눈치 보지 말고 조지명식 오랜만에 올라와서는 눈치 절대 보지 말고 자기
쳐주지 말고 나를 위해서
어떻게 해야 될까요?
나를 위해서.
나 정말 궁금한 게 지금 MVP 받으려고 지금 컨셉이에요?
아니.
진짜요?
이거 10만 원에. 근데 사실 김민희 선수가 조금 더 편할 수도 있겠다는 생각 들거든요.
누군가요?
김도.
야, 김도 진짜예요? 김도? 진짜 김도요. 와. 야, 이거 김도 인상써요. 아니, 어뚜각시예요?
약간
어뚜각시냐고요?
근데 마음이 약간 마지막에 통해가지고.
통했어요?
네, 말은 안 했는데 통해가지고.
너무 좋아하잖아. 벌써 지금 보세요.
여기까지 지금 이상적 될 거라고 상상을 못했어요.
아니, 어뚜각시가 돼가지고. 진짜 잘하잖아요, 김도.
네, 잘하시는데.
예, 조지현 선수 어떻게 이렇게 세팅한 거예요?
저는 이렇게 사주한 적 없거든요.
네네네.
근데 통하던데.
알아서 그렇게 알아서 받들어요?
보내줬으며.
지금 반응은 지금 조지현 선수에게 신경기술 좀 꽂은 거 아니냐고.
그러니까
이런
신경기술까지 있어요.
또 이상한 생각을 하고 있어가지고 뭐 자기가 이렇게 만들고 자기는 뭐 부탁을 해서 딴조로 간다고 여기 삼적으로 만들겠다 약간 이렇게 말해가지고 지현이는 좀 약간 바보인 것 같고.
투저그가 남았으니까 여기 마지막, 저기 마지막 저그니까 저를 저기 저그랑 바꿔주시면 기용이 더 편하고 저도 편하고.
말도 안 되는 소리를 하고 있어가지고 지금 굉장히 스트레스가 심해서.
아니 이게 제가 원하는 조가 아닌데 이렇게 돼서 좀 마음이 아프네요.
정말 윤수 꼴도 보기 싫네요.
박영훈과 이병렬인가요?
그래.
박영훈 예전에
둘 다
감독님이
세요.
있었죠.
둘 다. 정말 누굴 뽑더라도.
추천해주겠어요. 아 진짜 싫다고. 아 진짜 싫다고.
가자. 그래도 박영.
자 이게 정말 지금까지 조지명 선수에서
가장 오랜 시간.
예.
그 절반 이상을.
와 이병렬.
이게 설득이 되네요.
예 조지명 씨 설득이 된다라는 게 아니 김도우가
기웅이한테 한 번 더 물어보고 싶은 게 있는데
예.
생각이 변함이 없는지 느꼈는데
얘기해 보세요. 얘기해 보세요. 그러면은
원래 지연이를 이쪽으로 데려올 생각이긴 하거든요.
그러니까 조지현을 데리고 와서 골을 빨겠다라는 이야기인 거예요?
그럼 반대로 김도호 선수의 최악의 조가 되는 거죠.
최악의 조가 되는 거죠. 대참사가 펼쳐지게 생겼어요.
그렇게 되면 지금 3저그가 만들어질 수가 있고.
그러니까
진짜 이건 너무한 것 같아요.
너무하죠.
올 것 같아요.
올 것 같죠.
저는 솔직히 령우랑 바꾸는 게 최고거든요. 병재 형이 홈스토리 가기 전에 저희 집에서 주무셨거든요. 근데 제가 침대까지 내드렸어요.
저는 뭐 그냥 집도 내어드릴 수 있어요.
집을 준다고요?
집을 그냥 지금 울어도 돼요.
블리츠컨 가고 싶은데 지연이 의견만 무시하시면 모두가 행복해질 것 같아요.
할 것 같은데.
나크야. 이거 바꿔주세요.
김도호 못하죠.
이거는 정말 최악의 조지명 씨 돼버렸습니다.
조지현 선수도 원하는 조 같은데요?
네, 조지현 선수 너무 행복하고.
저도요. 고병재 선수가 빨리 좀 떨어졌으면 좋겠네요.
꼭 이번 시즌 우승해서 다음 시즌에 제가 또 만들어 드리겠습니다.
나중에 시드 같은 거 받으면 꼭 지연이를 망하게 하겠습니다. 그리고 지연이가 좀 떨어졌으면 좋겠네요.
자, 정말 처음 올라와서 조지현 선수가 여기서 정말 악의 축으로 자리를
I enjoyed that.
That was really fun.
So Classic is in a tough spot.
Yes,
for
he
sure.
is in hot water, as they say, Tasteless. He has gone out the door and left the water running in the bathtub. And it's hot water in the bathtub. See what I did there?
Yeah.
These are the 4 Korean boys.
He came back home and got in the hot water in the bathtub. There I go. I cleaned up that metaphor.
Wow. You really helped me out there, Tasteless.
Yeah,
I was
no
in
problem.
trouble.
That's what I'm here for.
I was in as much trouble as Classic is here. Yeah, you can see they were calling that group selection Patience's master plan because he was in this group and he made the group as hard as possible and then he swapped out. He's like, oh, you guys deal with it. So it's 1 Protoss, 3 Zergs, and you talk about the best Zergs in the world, right? We got soO, the best Zerg in the world. Dark, the best Zerg in the world. Rogue, almost the best Zerg in the world. And Classic has to play potentially all of them.
Yes. And what better way to start things off than soO versus Dark?
Oh my God! Well,
you really cannot ask for a better ZVZ. I don't think it can be possible. Tweet at me. Tell me that it's not possible. You're wrong.
Well,
I'll block you.
That's what you said when they played.
Tweet at your own risk.
Yeah, these guys just played in GSL versus the World. I think you and Dan cast that one, and it was crazy. But I think today's results will be very similar to that last time. In fact, Dark has only beat soO 1 time ever. So tonight is certainly a good night to be soO, especially when you start things off this way.
As usual. Wow, I didn't realize his win rate versus Terran was that unbelievably horrible, but I guess it's fine for a group like this. ZVZ, this guy is very hard to break. Almost as close as ZVZ as a record as Jaedong was in this prime in Brood War. I think Jaedong's ZVZ record still in Brood War is insane. But
yeah, they used to call it JVZ because he was just so good at it.
A lot of people would say it's rock, paper, scissors, which clearly was disproven by the fact that Jaedong would win basically no matter what.
Yeah.
But soO is almost to that point in this matchup, and being that good at a mirror matchup really is an indicator of how solid you are overall.
Right, and a lot of people, we were talking about this earlier, for mirror matches, they tend to be a little bit more maligned, but look, this is the best way to tell who is the best on an even footing, and really when you have an opponent like Dark saying that soO is advantaged against him, you know, what a statement to make, because this guy is, once again, one of the best Zergs in the world!
The best Zerg in the world. That's how we're doing.
That's right, the best Zerg
Every
in the
Zerg
world.
that we cast, we're just going to say is the best in the world. We're going to just hype this
Absolutely.
to a point that it breaks the it breaks all logic. Look, Dark, if you look at his record, look, he's about at 60% in all of his matchups, which is great. He's obviously very even, but right now it's CBZ day, buddy.
Yeah, and he is going to have to really play a matchup that has kind of been his bane for a while. I remember one of the first tournaments I was at out here in Korea was in SSL, where he lost to Solar in the finals by being overly aggressive. And I think that's going to be the theme for tonight. Dark, the aggressor, soO, very defensive, and that's how he's beaten him time and time again. See how it works out here tonight.
Our map is Ascension to Ire, then Odyssey, and if we go to Game 3, Abyssal Reef, the two best Zergs in the world! soO versus Dark, a fight to move on to the winner's match. As well in this group, we do have Rogue, their Zerg, and finally, our one Protoss remaining Classic.
Fight.
Let's go into our first best of 3 in tonight's GSL Code S.
GSL Season 3 Code S.
In the bottom right, in the blue, our Zerg player, the best Zerg in the world,
soO.
In the world. So, I think we're, I have two rules and predictions. One is always that soO advances to the finals. The other one is whenever SOS is playing, I always predict him to win. By the way, his opponent here in the upper left,
Dark.
Also the best Zerg
in the world.
In the world.
So, soO versus Dark. Dark a lot of times tends to open up, leaning a little bit more towards being the aggressor in ZVZ. But this time around, it's going to be mirrored builds. I think both these guys showing a little bit of respect to the other players, saying, well, I don't want to mess this up early and not be able to leverage anything I could have gotten later on had I played a little bit more standard.
Yeah, I mean, right as you say, mirrored builds, this early gas comes down for Dark, so he's going to be getting that Zergling speed a little bit ahead of schedule. On the other side, soO's gas is a little bit later. Check the timings on their pool. Yeah, so that's the big difference. Dark went gas before pool, and then soO did it the other way around. So it means soO will have his Zerglings out a little bit faster, but his speed will be a little bit later. Time will tell who truly made the best choice there.
Well, in ZVZ, we've said this several times before, but a lot of times they can start out slightly different and end up in the same spot. There are no real deviations just yet. Oh, we got some French people in the audience. Oh, we love the guys at O Gaming.
Hashtag baguette. Great French hashtag right there.
Are you a fan of baguettes, man?
I
With
am,
cheese?
I would say that I'm just a fan of baguettes in general.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually, once a week, I get a baguette from the bakery by my house, and I buy some. It's Korea, so it's not cheap, but some nice cheese, some blue cheese, or some goat cheese.
Oh, getting fancy there. Some feta cheese sometimes. Maybe
not on my baguettes. I put my feta cheese in my salads.
Okay, well,
that I make like once a year because I'm so bad about trying to eat healthy as far as salads go. That's why I sometimes cast with Artosis, is he balances me out.
Well, yeah, that guy is a sick feta cheese nerd right there. That I am not. I think feta is low tier cheese. But
really?
Yeah.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite actually. I'm more of a blue cheese, or definitely goat cheese is the best by far. By the way, the lings are coming around right now. A third hatch a little bit later for soO. This one ling is going to be intercepted, has not managed to bounce up into that location in the center right now. There's an Overlord scouting and more lings coming, so eventually it is going to be identified, but that's going to let Dark know where the pacing of this game is going. We just had the Baneling's Nest. I believe only one player got a Baneling's Nest. Am I wrong about that?
I believe that only Dark has one at the time.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. We'll check in his main here in a second.
soO does have one. We'll see if Dark has one.
Yeah, okay, then maybe it is soO that has that. But either way, this is actually a really good pickoff there. Cancels that one Baneling, sacrifices a couple of Zerglings to do it, but Dark had this as his plan. He sends his Zergling across the map to pressure the third base because he knows pretty much when it's going to be coming down and that it will be kind of the point of weakness that he wants to go up there. Catches one of those Banelings morphing, that's a big deal.
So Dark's just now starting his own Baneling's Nest, but Dark really on the offense at this point in time. Looks like he's going to send a few lings down here, maybe try to assassinate the Baneling. Not yet, can't find a good opening to do so. Meanwhile, more lings are coming down here through the natural, but there's too many queens and lings, so they bounce off that. And so far, for the time being, the drones of soO are going to stay safe.
Sounded like you said sewer there. The drones of sewer are about to stay safe.
Oh, yeah, I guess I did kind of sound like that.
Dirty joke.
Wow. Now we know I'm a biased catcher. How could you say his play was sewer tasteless? By the way, Ro.16 coming down here now for Dark, and as I say that, same thing for soO. So Ro.16's going to be even. Going to be a little bit more time before we're going to have Banelings coming up for the time being for Dark. Actually, I spoke a little bit too soon. Are there Banelings actually outside the natural? Those aren't. Are those back at home? Well, 6 making.
Yeah, soO has them outside of his own natural, but yeah, Dark has just finished morphing his. I believe they're.
Are they with that army? We're not getting a shot of that army that's moving around in the middle, so I don't know for sure. It's possible.
Okay, so yeah, the Banelings were back home. Nice scout here. This is amazing for soO. He sees it right as the lair morphs. So really great information. But no, 2 Banelings make it in.
Okay, he's coming in now. 2 kills there. I don't believe we have any kills at all back there for the drones in that other location. So 2 kills on either side as far as worker goes. So
wow.
It's basically even for the time being. Both, again, with the layer coming up, I guess we have to wait now and see does Dark get the missile attack upgrade, because that's the only thing I've seen different so far here on the production tab throughout this game.
It doesn't get closer than this. Actually, kind of surprisingly, soO with the larger army at this point. Although Dark had a faster Roach Warren, so he'll be able to start that Roach production a little bit more quickly.
Okay, missile attacks as well on both sides. Again, the mirrored builds, and now even the scouting from Dark coming in here. soO initially getting that first scout off in the main and natural of Dark, but so far, yeah, this is just a neck-and-neck game. Nobody able to deal the damage they need to do to make this truly impactful. Of course, one Baneling cannot destroy drones. You need 2.
Now, it looks like soO is going to put down a 4th base here. That would be a little bit optimistic. He has the drone in position, ready to go. Did that Queen kill an Overlord? Was that what I was saying?
It might have.
Maybe it was just a Zergling. But already Spires thrown down. It looks like our players are not going to commit to these big, hardcore Roach battles in the middle.
This is kind of cool.
Spire, yes.
Well, I think they're expecting the other side to maybe go a little bit more Roach heavy, and then the Mutas come out and blindside the player that thinks he's got a Roach lead. But normally the ZDZs I cast, or guess for you for that matter as well here in Korea, we usually see some deviation somewhere, but this is like kind of crazy. They're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and this looks very different than the series we played in GSL versus the World.
Right.
That was very scrappy, very early game. My Baneling hit your Zerglings and I win kind of idea. But this time it's very close. You can see almost exactly the same number of drones, number of roaches. The missile attack timing is just very, very close. And everything just looks as close as it can be.
So let's watch and see how much gas they can bank up here, because that's the real indicator of how many mutas they can get. Obviously, minerals flow in a lot faster than gas. So the Spire is almost done here for soO. And with neither player really looking like they want to do any really committed attack. I mean, we have some Lings that looks like going up here to get the hatchery, but I think, yeah, that's going to be knocked out pretty easily. 6 mutas on both sides.
Yep,
this is like when Solid Snake and Liquid Snake fought on top of Metal Gear. And they were both like hitting. Was that? Yeah, that was on top of the Metal Gear. Yeah, and then they were doing the exact same moves. Metal Gear Solid 4 is what I'm talking about, of course. But I played them all because I am that kind of guy. But I don't know what happens here other than somebody maybe getting in the right angle first with the mutas. They can decide this because they are literally both at 157 supply with the exact same builds with the exact same stuff.
Yeah, and they're both actually very high supply because they haven't really fought all game long.
Yeah.
You still see roaches in production because a lot of times roaches are just so beefy that it's not just about winning the air war. If you have vastly superior roaches on the ground, you can still cause an irreparable dent at the same time just because it takes mutas so long to kill roaches in these small numbers.
A little bit of a boost here for Dark, although soO should catch up. It's now 183 to 164. All of his production cycles filled back in a little bit more quickly. Again, both players a little bit apprehensive about moving out too much on the map since they both revealed the mutas to each other. One thing that they can do is try to wipe out the Overlords on their side of the map, but then, you know, where does a game like this really go from here? If you both are doing the exact same thing, do we have a deviation? Clearly, these guys are both on the exact same page for how to play ZDZ, at least on this map. Hold up, mutas out here now on the map for Dark.
So bad for Dark. He needs to split his mutas up and make sure that as few die as possible. He will escape from there, but not before taking crucial muta losses.
And Roach is now coming up over here, and I have to say, This is a lot of roaches, a lot more, at least for the time being, but more for soO now come up from the bottom. But with the mutas over here, and the mutas, of course, for Dark, unable to engage with the rest of this roach army, I would have to assume that overall soO is going to come out on top, which is a big loss in the supply right now. We already see 153 to a maxed out soO army, and these roaches basically don't get back home. It's very easy for this to be cleaned up. But with the mutas drawn over there in the top right, now the mutas of Dark can come in here and take out a lot of workers, which is a huge amount of economic damage that soO is suffering.
Yeah, maybe this is Dark's master plan. Sacrifice his roach army up top and then kill drones in the main at the same time. So while, yes, Dark did take massively the worst army trade, if you look at the workers, soO has two.
He's got two more, yeah. Right? It's not... I don't know if that's going to be enough. Where are the mutas right now for soO? I'm still... Okay, there they are.
Yeah, but they're going to meet in the middle of the match, and soO has more stuff.
But there's queens over here, so I don't know if actually Dark can go... well, Dark can engage these mutas as long as the queens are there. Let's see if soO can bring up some more roaches and try to do something else. A sparse amount of roaches for Dark compared to the army here of soO. One Baneling coming up. In the meanwhile, with maybe the mutas out of position, soO might try to come in here and take a bite out of the worker count of Dark.
Now, our observer was showing that, in fact, I believe soO has +2 range weapon upgrades, so that's a big advantage. If you're just doing roach versus roach, soO's roaches are just better, but at the same time, I believe Dark has slightly more mutalisks in the air, and of course, mutas will inevitably win it. By slightly more, I mean much less.
I think it's 10 more.
Yeah.
Well, 10 more for the other player is.
Yeah. So soO has 10 more.
What is it? 17 to 27?
Yeah. Almost. Yeah. Exactly.
At least until these 5 mutas hatch.
Wow. So soO is committing really hard to the mutalist. He was behind on range weapon upgrades, but he's ahead in the air. So when soO's flock of mutas hit, there's no way that Dark wins that fight.
Now, there are Hydras coming out. Now, Hydras, if you get enough of them, can counter the mutas. But, you know, mutas, as fast as Hydras are on creep, we would definitely deem mutas as a little bit more mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Are there enough spores? It kind of depends on the defensive positioning here for Dark. We're waiting to see where soO's going to move in. And okay, not the fourth, excuse me. I thought he might try to actually dive in right there. Now, while this is going on, soO expands to the top center.
Right.
He's trying to continue to gain economic momentum as Dark basically can't move out of his base, has to defend, and there's a possibility that soO will try to leverage this later on. That's certainly the game plan. We'll see if Dark will allow that.
And 40 to 16 mutalisks. soO is just all in the air right now. Needs to watch out for these Hydras, though. And that was truly the plan for Dark, saying, okay, well, I get range weapon upgrades early because they help my roaches, and then I keep going for them because later on the Hydras will be more powerful versus the mutalisks.
Okay, the mutas continue to be bunched up, rotating around, trying to find an opening. Hydra production is on the way. They're both about maxed out. In fact, they are both maxed out. So a few snipes here and there. Again, still Dark on the back foot defending. At any moment, if Dark leaves in the wrong spot, soO will go in for a full-on attack. And this is exactly what we have here. So many mutas taking so much damage. Remember, the flyer attack's about to finish. These glaives are going to be nightmares for this clump of mutas that's over here. Some more Hydras trying to come in. I believe that actually should be game.
Yeah, there's no way. GG. Wow.
Okay, soO is so good.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Exactly what to commit to. Insane mutant numbers that were just never whittled down. And as much as great as the Hydralists on the ground with that +2 upgrade are, there just weren't enough. Too many roaches on the ground, not enough in the air. soO takes game number 1.
soO really impressed me back there, more so than a lot of the ZVZs. And by the way, I've been following soO around for years, guys, casting his games.
6 stalker tastes.
I'm a super fan. And I have to say that out of all the ZVZs I've casted, that's been one of the most impressive, not only because it was against Dark, but the fact that they had mirrored each other for, I believe, the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Maybe 11 minutes. And it was the committal to the muta switch and how he leveraged his position, not just in the attack and how he controlled the production of Dark, but also how he was expanding during that. That wasn't the final blow that he had to deal to win that game. That was just one of many procedures he had set up throughout that game to come out on top ahead of Dark.
Wow, just a really classic game there. Now we're going to move on to the classic literature map, Odyssey. We get into game number 2, soO versus Dark.
GSL Season 3, Code S.
In the blue, in the upper left-hand side of Odyssey.
soO.
is the player. soO in the blue.
soO in the blue.
There's no color that rhymes with dark, so we can't do that.
Yeah. Maybe. No, I guess it really isn't.
No, it's like orange.
In the bottom right, the bottom right rhymes with orange.
Dark.
Orange.
Wow, you're right. It really does.
Yeah, wow. You know what rhymes with orange is a door hinge, but I guess that's not really a word.
Did you learn that from an Eminem interview? That's
No.
where I learned it.
Eminem the rapper?
Yeah. No, that guy has sick lyrical rhymes, man.
You know, there's a website you can go to that has all the words that rhyme with all the other words. So if you ever want to go into hip-hop, now you know how to do it. What's up, guys? Thanks for coming down. Hope you're enjoying the games.
Big fans in the audience. Lots of people coming out today to support the best Zerg players in the world, Tasteless.
Yes.
See how mirrored these builds are going to be here.
I don't know if it's going to be as mirrored this time around. I guess we'll find out a little bit, but that was pretty crazy for two guys when you have people of that caliber and they are both sort of feigning roaches, like, or at least getting some roach muscle on the ground while powering the mutas behind it, and then they're both in that exact same spot. It's cool to see that soO doubles down on it, whereas Dark, his opponent, actually attempts to outmaneuver his opponent again, and it doesn't quite pay off. soO, I don't know. It's fun casting ZVZs like that. Like we've said before, a lot of the ZVZs, unless they end right away, it's two guys with very different tech paths.
Right, but committed to different strategies. For game one, Dark went for range upgrades and was trying to win it on the ground, but soO just massively ahead, won it in the air. This time around, we had soO going with an earlier spawning pool, earlier Baneling Nest, but a later expansion, whereas Dark went for the hatchery first and then went into a spawning pool before. So a little bit opposite from the way that I expect. You know, we expect to see Dark going for the more aggressive build, but it's soO that has his first two Zerglings across the map.
Baneling's Nest almost done. Last game we saw Dark being a little bit more of the initiator, although it did not that it really hurt him, but it didn't pay off either. This time again, this time around, it looks like to be the exact opposite. We have 10 links here for soO.
Yeah.
Geared up.
Really looking to put on the pressure.
It takes a little bit to get that creep over to that third base, and of course, if you can draw out queens off the creep, then you're usually in good shape. Now, Dark's getting his own Baneling's Nest, but I think with the way the timing works out here, oh wow, good spotting there by Dark.
Damn.
You know, it's quite important to get the first set of Banelings out when you're doing this. Because there's a moment where they don't have their own Banelings, and therefore, okay, Dark is doing a great job denying this.
He's caught two Banelings morphing. Now, gotta watch out for the concave there. soO getting good trades against Dark Zerglings. He has to watch out for the funneling down the ramp. Look at that arc. Dark is just running straight into soO's clutches.
Okay, he's actually just got enough lings, Dark does. He's going to drive soO. I don't think that soO can actually be much more aggressive and win this game. It's 3-2. There is a layer that was made behind this for soO, but I'm in some ways liking Dark's position a little bit more. He's not going to be abused by these Banelings. This puts a half-life on soO in this game. He has to do something pretty fast because 3 bases cannot compete with 2. Of course, a tech choice could very well be a layer, especially with the double gases coming down here. But of course, somebody like Dark is going to know that's coming. I mean, this is sort of Zerg 101. When you're on 2 bases, you see them on 3. You have to assume there's a layer, because if there isn't, then you're just going to have more of whatever the ground army is. There's that Spire now.
And I think this is really telling. soO actually changing up his playstyle totally this game. He went for an earlier pool. He was being the aggressor in this game. And with no third base, which now Dark knows, he's been able to afford those 2 extractors. So right now, soO is on 4 gases, and Dark just got his second.
Close call there. Dark trying to put some pressure on here while this Mutatech is beginning to build up.
Whoa!
He's coming in!
He's got the 2 Banelings in the middle line.
Beautiful. If he can split these lings right, he can take out even more of these drones. Each of these drones only 1 or 2 hits away from death. Another good connect up there. 20 more lings on the way. The Spire over halfway complete.
And Dark, oh, no. Wow, thank God that didn't have +1 melee. That would have been a massacre, but Dark knows this is his time. He's putting on the pressure, and soO just has to hang on because he'll have so many more mutas.
It's funny because the same principle also applies in Broodor, where we see a lot of times when you see the Mutatech coming, you try to put a lot of pressure on to have them eat up their larva and the rest of their minerals and gas. Try to defend instead of trying to get those that number of mutas out there, and if they don't handle that tightrope walk correctly, they are going to fall apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, going for Mutas is like the sun setting and being afraid of the dark. Like, that is the, well, appropriate analogy because of the player names, but also a big vulnerability here. soO just has to hang on. He's going to take losses here, and I think he knows it, but if his Mutalists get into a good enough position, they're actually almost completed, then he just wins the game.
Keep in mind that soO, a lot of those drones are almost dead, so running those links in there by Dark, very smart move to try to finish off the damage he dealt about a minute earlier. The Mutas, however, are out now for soO, and besides Queens, Dark didn't have any real powerful answer for Mutas. Of course, Spores are coming too, but this is all static defense. I mean, the Mutas can help defend, they can clean up the Overlords on the map, and that's exactly what soO's doing right here.
Yeah, and soO's Overlords are going to be totally fine. They're out there getting the scouting information, pretty safe for now. Hydralisk Den just about halfway done for Dark on the other side, and he continues to try to win this game on the ground, which is, you know, pretty counter to the way that we kind of understand ZVZ. It's like you get Zerglings, then Banelings, then Roaches, then Mutas, and that's where things kind of stop. But the Hydras are what Dark are trying to add to this to, you know, take a different approach.
Well, since he's already been invested in the ground army, I think the Hydras is a pretty smart move to you know, make lemonade out of the lemons that you got. I always mess it with his life gives you lemons to make lemonades. I'm like, that's how you can make lemonade out of lemons, Rapid. I always screw this up.
Well, also, that's terrible lemonade because it doesn't have any sugar in it.
Yeah, that's true. You're a Southern boy.
I am, man.
We got, but in all honesty, I think this is a good response to the tech, and soO's leveraging this with his air army by at least trying to take a third of his own. When the Mutas initially come out, even if you see them attacking you, they can of course get back home fast enough that it can be unwise for Dark to try to send his Roaches out there, because then if soO eats up the Roaches, then Dark's in an even worse position overall.
Now this is really interesting. soO going for very fast Mutalists, but now kind of getting things in reverse order. He gets the Mutas early, and now is going for Roaches and that ranged weapon upgrade and Roach speed. So this is kind of the backwards way of doing it, just trying to get that earlier Muta count so that he can get the value from sniping all the Overlords and forcing out all these Spore Crawlers.
Okay, the Mutas coming up again. Looking for any pokes they can get in, any holes they can punch in Dark's defense. I don't think Dark's going to be taking too much more damage. Now, when you're in the position that soO's in, you know exactly what's coming. Any moment you can try to keep these Hydras back at home before the big attack's going to come out across the map, you want to do it.
One thing that could be added is that a lot of times Zergs will get, if they go for high Muta count, is they'll get an Overseer and they'll run between the bases, sniping off the creep the creep.
Oh yeah, get an Overseer and just take out the creep.
Yeah, because then if your opponent is going for this Hydralisk count, well, they just can't move between their bases quite as quickly, and your Mutas are just so maneuverable. So, but that's not exactly what soO's doing. He is now kind of switching tech back into a huge Roach count, and Dark doesn't know about this or the fourth base because Mutas control the map for now.
Yeah, he has to assume the third's been taken, but sometimes players are crazy. They take the gold before they take the mineral only, but I think this is the moment that honestly soO has to really be concerned, right? There's a huge ground army. A good amount of the supply has been consumed by Mutas. The Hydras can definitely beat the Mutas if they have to face on head-to-head. We'll see if Dark tries to push out. With both players taking the gold base, although the gold base for soO is going to finish before the gold base of Dark's, this may be the climax of the game. If one player can deny the other player of having the gold base in a mirror matchup like this with tech like this, usually that's all you have to do.
I love our observers showing us that one Roach sent through the southern path of Odyssey that will scout out this this gold base. That's really important information for Dark. He hasn't been able to get out on the map to see what's coming. Zerg can't, you know, scan their opponents, so you do have to send an actual
Yeah, what's up with that, Blizzard?
I know, right? Imbalances, man.
It's not fair. By the way, we have some Ravagers coming out here. We already had some Ravagers made here for soO, which is usually a good response since you don't really have your Hydra tech up. The Corrosive Bile can be more annoying for the Hydras of your opponent since they don't move that fast off a creep especially. But they're both maxed out, essentially. And from here, we got to see who's going to engage who and how.
Lurkers now on the way for Dark. You really don't see Lurkers all that often in ZVZ. I mean, I don't think there's very many Hydras in this army for Dark. So if you can get if soO can get his ground army to kill off the Hydras, then he will win it eventually in the air.
This is good for defending. It's also good for pushing. But as far as moving in the middle of the map with Hydras, not so much. So it's soO that's going to be the initiator here, chucking out a few Corrosive Biles. But meanwhile, the gold base is taking way too much damage. And this was just a distraction. The gold base goes down. soO is looking ready to win this game. All he has to do is get back and defend. And these Lurkers you know, the direct response to them in a lot of ways is the Ravagers.
Well, that's why it's so confusing to see lurkers here. It's like, well,
Right.
you know your opponent's going to have these Ravager numbers. I mean, that's like like you said, the direct counter.
You're totally right. It's like if you see somebody suddenly
Oh my
going
God.
tanks right when Ravagers are in large numbers, and you have to ask yourself, what is the goal exactly here? Because they've already got an answer for this.
Losing that gold base, and I'm not even sure that Dark saw his opponent's gold base. Yeah, you can see on the mini-map, Dark actually set that one roach down around the bottom of the map, but skipped scouting the 4th base and went straight to the 3rd. So he knows about the 3rd, but he doesn't know about the gold, and now he doesn't have one of his own.
The thing is, we have to guess he probably is just assuming at this point in time, he's like, okay, I'm in so much trouble right now. He probably has the gold. And if he doesn't, if he didn't already, then he would be taking it by now. But I can't agree with you more, Rapid. The critique of the lurker unit being used here. Maybe he wasn't fully aware of how many Ravagers were in play. But of course, when you have Roach and it's this late in the game, now this is a little bit of a crazy commitment here, but I guess it doesn't matter as long as the gold base isn't taken. So he can, in some ways, draw this game out by having this army get focus fire down here. As long as that gold base, oh, this is so cute.
He's drawing him away from the lurkers.
Yeah.
These lurkers have crazy numbers of gas or amount of gas invested in them, and now they're just being torn apart by these Mutalisks. And I actually kind of like what soO did there. He says, look, I've got a gold base. I have even a 5th base on the way now that I think is just completed. And Dark is so far behind economically that even if you take bad army trades, Dark won't be able to reproduce his army as quickly as you can.
Yeah, you know, you're 100% right. I mean, when you're that ahead, you just look at a position, you say, okay, let's make this a little bit harder for him. I'm going to, in some ways, trade less effectively than you would guess, but what I'm trading in units, I'm gaining in bases.
Yeah,
and as long as I have more of an income, I'm just going to put a rock on the R key on my keyboard, and I'm just going to keep making roaches. And then when they try to counter, I'm going to have enough. And we see he's got definitely enough roaches. He certainly needs an overseer here over his army. And even though there's some push potential here from Dark, I don't know if he can make this last. I don't think this has the kind of sustain he wants, but let's see. Dark is a very crafty player.
I love what soO is doing. Not only great concaves, he's pushing out, forcing these lurkers to siege unsiege, and look on the production tab. Well, you can't do it now, but there's more Mutalisks on the way, and this time the advantage is not by 10, it's by infinity, because Dark doesn't have any.
Yeah, and it's just Hydras down here. There's enough Mutas to kill off the Hydras.
Yeah.
At least it looks like.
Well, they're not targeting them.
He's not targeting the Hydras, but let's pretend that he did, and that would have been thinned out a little bit more, especially with the remaining Mutas coming up here. Actually, a little bit of miscontrol here by soO.
I feel like soO really had it, but he didn't target the Hydras. They killed off most of the Mutas, and Dark had the better ground army.
This is kind of crazy, because I actually thought that soO 100% was going to be fine here, but he's not handling these engages right.
Well, now soO's been better with the counterattacks. He killed the gold base, and now he's going to do it again, as well as killing off all the drones there.
Thing is, though, with the army the way it is, with the lurkers, the roaches, and the one Ravager that's here, of course, back to the Hydras, there's push potential. I mean, soO has to muster up a serious army to combat this, and some of this was just due to that engagement.
Well, Dark is going to crush him here.
I was a little bit worried for soO when I saw that it was just roaches with the Mutas going to their GG, but wow, I guess in that game we were a little bit wrong. I thought for sure, especially with how soO handled that, that he was going to have the closer, but it seems like Dark was able, with the units that he had, the small number of Hydras, the roaches, as well as the lurkers, to get into a position where he was able to push through. The Ravagers did not take out enough of the lurkers. And it was, if you look back at that game, there was a period where the push came through, right?
Right.
Really, the lurkers are not strong until they're either defending the base of Dark or they're attacking the base of soO. And when that trade happened back there, just to look at that game in retrospect, it seemed like there was no moment to slow the lurkers down from moving across the map.
Yeah, soO did try to make them siege unsiege, but the real moment was when Dark, soO, who had these invincible air Mutalisks, they were only weak to one thing, and that's the Hydras. And when soO ran them into the fight, he targeted lurkers instead of the Hydras.
It was a little bit weird.
Yeah, that engagement really turned things around.
There also seemed to be enough Mutas for a little bit there that they could have killed the Hydras. Then we saw the Mutas left click or right click on the roaches.
Yeah,
I think he didn't realize they were on the screen. That was kind of weird. And if he had enough Mutas, he would have eventually wiped out that army, and with a late counterattack maybe. Anyways, game 2. I'm got a long explanation from us. In the upper left, in the blue, he is
soO.
Going for a quick pull, by the way.
Yeah, doing it again. His opponent on the other side of Abyssal Reef, he is
Dark.
There we go, and yeah, this is a very early pool. There is no doubt about it. soO is in full aggression mode, and this is interesting because we would consider Dark maybe the more aggressive player. Dark now doing the more economic opening. Oh my god.
Well, was he getting that from Troll 2? You ever see that movie?
That's a sick movie.
That's a great
sick
movie.
in a bad way.
Did you see the original one, Troll 1?
Well, Troll 2 is like, I feel like more iconic because it's
worse.
So bad. Yeah.
I actually enjoyed Troll 1 as a bad movie more.
Yeah,
I could rewatch it. Troll 2 is tough. About a little bit over half the way through it, I'm like, whoa, this is horrible.
Yeah, but it's tolerable. Troll 2, I feel like, is just so
That's
over
what
the
I
top.
meant. Troll 2 almost becomes too much. There's a point in time you're no longer having fun watching it. You're like, this is just horrible. We have a game here where it looks like soO might be taking Dark to Nilbog Town. Right? Remember that movie? And then halfway through, he's like, wait a minute, Nilbog is backwards for Goblin. And I'm like, Goblin? This movie's called Troll 2. What is going on? The street's called Goblin. Anyways, I don't know. Movie called Troll 2 where they have goblins in it the whole time. I don't know. Lings are going to come up here. Now, there is no pool finished yet for Dark.
I think Dark is pretty dead here. Now,
I don't know if he's dead, but he's going to probably lose the hatch.
I mean, this is actually kind of surprising. A lot of times, if you have this big Zergling advantage, you want to run the Zerglings into the main because more likely than not, the Zerg lets the hatch finish just to get the larva out of it.
Well, I think here he just wants a guaranteed hatch denial and try to just maintain a lead from there. We've had a lot of games that have been neck and neck throughout the entire series. By the way, Dark, even though he won that last game, I'd be pretty shaken if I beat soO in a game like that, where I was getting pretty much beaten up and came back with just one big attack. And that was the attack he had, by the way, to win game 2. So already an intimidating play here by soO. Dark now going for a Baneling's Nest to try to reclaim territory on the low ground, whereas soO is already droning up.
Yeah, so the big, I guess, victory here for soO is denying that natural, or denying really any production from it as well. He came in and canceled what the larva was building too. Now, this is really interesting, trying to break up a ramp against the queen on top of it. soO, I guess he just wants to make sure that he can kill as many Zerglings as he can, but he's going to lose everything.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by the decision to commit there. We got to get a look back there at how many Lings are now inside the base here of soO. You know, occasionally you get guys like soO and they're so advanced, he may see something that we can't see, which is he just has to keep the initial Ling count low enough because he knows his opponent won't have enough of a balance between Lings and Banelings.
Yeah, soO's upgraded to like the 4x4 Rubik's Cube. We're still trying to figure out the 3x3. It is. Yeah,
they might be playing 3D chess, and we're sitting here with our checkers board, we're trying to figure out how to make the kings hop to two squares instead of.
I'm the best one-dimensional checkers player, Tasteless.
Really?
Yeah, it's all a line.
Wow,
yeah.
It's just a line.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a spine here. Now, let's bear in mind, although Dark is reclaiming his second base, there's been a lot more production here for soO since he's just had his second hat trip for longer. The Baneling's coming forward. Now, the Queens want to target down the Banes, and there's not a lot of Banes, mind you.
Yeah, now 2's the magic number.
Oh!
Okay, wow.
He blocked the ramp?
Yeah, that was very dangerous, but no, he doesn't block it in time.
This is one of those moments where if you're Dark, you've got the Lings that far around, you see the opening, you might as well try to run into the main. I don't think this is going to be doing too much damage.
Looks like it is not. Massive queen numbers, and I love that soO is using queens to defend here. He's doing a great job of it. I think he took, what, 2 drone losses? And that's it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, enough drone losses that we don't really count it as much of a loss. The Spire started here for Dark.
I think this is his only hope of getting back into it. He's down by 10 drones. That is a big, big deficit in ZVZ where all your units are exactly the same. He's trying to make a unit that is not exactly the same, the Mutalisk, and we'll see if that's effective. Already a bunch of Spore Crawlers completed for soO.
Yeah, with that being said, we are finally having 2 radically different tech paths.
Yeah, this is...
For at least the early part of the game. You know, we're at the 5-minute marker here. If you go back to game 1, by the way, which was really awesome, we got to see these guys almost completely identical for most of the game. But with the Mutatech happening and the Roach Tech just beginning right now for soO, both players can actually expand because neither player can really punish the other.
This is a really interesting game, and I feel like all of our games today, just like you said, Tastes, have been really kind of a treat, because usually you see just this crazy early aggression, and one player wins the Zergling or the Baneling or the Roach battle, and the game is over. But we've gone way deep in the tech path, and even here it looks like soO wants to kind of hunker down and kind of recoup his tech disadvantage.
Yeah, I agree. 7 mutas coming up now. We'll see how much soO has ready. No, he spots that, by the way, which is quite important. Yeah. Just to have the confirmation. He didn't see exactly when the mutas were hatching, but he should have an idea of where and when they should be coming out. Overlords are out here on the map. We'll see if Dark decides to go for those first. It looks like he is, instead of trying to go just right towards where the drones are and do some damage there.
Yeah, I think I said that soO was making spore crawlers. He made that spine up front. I guess that makes sense, just to watch out for Zergling run-bys. But yeah, he scouts the Spire, sees the mutas out on the map, and soO should be ready for this. He's already built Great Sim City in front of his natural. He's getting a 3rd base way before Dark's, and he will have an economic advantage. It's just going to be up to Dark to find value with this muta tech.
So, by taking out the mutas, it gives, I'm sorry, the overlords, it gives a lot more of a surprise, element of surprise advantage here. As you can fly the mutas in, and soO is on some level left guessing and trying to figure this out. Even more overlords going down now. Keep in mind, at this point in time, he's killed off enough overlords. It's almost the price of a hatchery, as well as delayed production. As long as you can keep these mutas alive and get them out basically unscathed, he's going to be in good shape. soO is now going to go for the Hydra Den, which is the only logical tech direction to go if you've already gotten roaches. Getting missile and armor on the way, you're basically forced into going Hydras.
Wow, and look at this behind this muta aggression. Dark is massively droning up. He's going to have, now it's Dark's turn to get the 10-worker lead, and this time he'll be even on bases. So I think Dark has just done a beautiful job coming back from that early deficit. He lost his hatchery, which a lot of times in ZVZ can just be game over, and he's actually turned it into a kind of an advantage with these mutas getting a lot of harassment done.
You know, Rapid, it's especially impressive considering the player is soO.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the best Zerg in the world, Tasteless.
Yeah, and I mean, with Dark being the best Zerg in the world as well, I mean, it's pretty crazy. But you know, somebody like soO, normally if he can cripple you early on, he'll just keep ahead, wait for an opening, and come in there and punish. But Dark, a pretty tenacious guy, actually takes out the spine. Bit of a nuisance here for soO.
Now, if you just look at the numbers, it's easy to say, wow, these guys are actually pretty even, with maybe a small army advantage there for soO, but it's about the value. It's what you can do with your army. If you have 200, 200, and you can't kill your opponent, well, you know, it doesn't matter how big your supply is. So the muta's getting as much value as possible, and sniping extractors is really underrated, because gas is a Zerg's lifeline in the mid to late game.
And you know, just the fact that he's getting away with that is pretty awesome there for Dark, rather. But let's keep in mind, soO's actually moving out because he saw those mutas were in the back of his own main. Doesn't seem like he wants to fully commit. So Dark can still try to move around here and actually just taking out these roaches. Again, the more active you are with mutas and the more units you take out here and there, the worse and worse and worse it actually gets for your opponent. That's the crazy thing about mutas. There's an untold amount of damage they can do in a game if you're just on top of them, and if your opponent makes any mistakes, you can exploit that.
Now, soO, a little bit indecisive, went out with his roaches and then pulled them all the way back, I think deciding he doesn't have enough anti-air protection to both protect his roaches and protect back at home with those queens. But now Hydras are out, and that will really change kind of the landscape of this game.
Now, let's remember that in reality, it's actually mutas that are great at harassing. They're not always great in fights.
Yeah.
So
I think
a lot of times, we saw it in the last game for sure, but it's a good general rule, especially in ZVZ and SC2, is that you can look like a lot's going on until the big battle actually occurs, and Dark is clearly aware of this, and that's being highlighted by how many Banelings we have here, as he knows Hydras counter the mutas, but Banelings counter the Hydras. So if he can have one good, you know, bash of Banelings just coming through here and crushing this army, the rest of the Lings and mutas and Ravagers and Roaches may be able to clean it up.
Now, +2 missile weapons about to complete here for soO. That is incredible. It is perhaps the most incredibliest thing to point out right now. Ground Army versus Ground Army, soO crushes it. So see what Dark can do here, how he engages this. Where are those Banelings? Here they go!
All right, they're coming through now. Now the Banelings are going to hit the Roaches, but he wants them to connect on the Hydras.
Oh my God.
Actually, they're doing a great connection on those Hydras, but is that actually enough? It's only Ravagers remaining. Oh no, I'm sorry, there's a little bit more Roaches in my eyes. Allowed me to realize.
Not as good as they used to be, Tasteless.
Yeah, not as good. I'm getting old, man. But the fact of the matter is that it looks like, actually, I think soO just barely holds better surface area here.
Definitely. Those Banelings actually only kind of connected with the Hydras. They went in on one side of the concave, not the other. But Dark does still have these mutas. So as much of a military victory as that was for soO, he can't really go press the advantage because he does have to keep anti-air back at home.
He's beginning to drive back some of these. Again, the mutas are just keeping soO busy here. The Hydras have to run around, and whenever they get there, of course, the mutas can come back in. In fact, even faking him out, coming back in here for a Queen Snipe before he then runs back out. Good transfuse there.
Nice. Yeah, and Dark is just running and picking off these extractors. In fact, he can pick that one off too if he goes for it.
Look at the mini-map. I think Dark wants to come in here for a big attack. I think actually the Roaches may be enough in numbers that Dark will be okay, or soO will be okay rather, but Dark definitely has the right idea in mind here.
Man, both players just absolutely maxed out, executing very different strategies, but at the same time, look at Dark. He's going back in for damage in the main. He's not targeting down. That Spore Crawler is going to kill almost every Mutalisk.
We have the Roaches and Hydras beginning to move out now, with soO basically deciding that he has an opportunity now on the map, especially with the muta count that's dwindled down to a number that just can't really have that much of an impact here. He's going to try to come in here and actually deny this base. Now, there's a good amount of Ravagers here for Dark, which allows him to do a lot of damage as his push comes through, but if you just look at the sheer number of soO's units, it's not really a game about tactics at this point in time. Now, erring on the side of caution, he's going to rotate up around, and this hatchery, at least for now, seems to be exposed. We have some Ravagers making there. Is soO going to commit? Let's find out. He's coming in now.
This is just such a great tactical decision by soO. As soon as he kills off the mutas back at home, he has nothing to worry about and can just run in and use that army upgrade advantage over Dark.
The position here of the hatchery, by no fault of Dark, gets in the way of a lot of the units actually getting a better angle here. So Dark trying to shove in here, but his reinforcements come in. It seems almost as if Dark is feeding into some of that army. The drones have been pulled for a little bit here, but soO continues to march forward as that army thins out. This base will be wiped out, knocking him on 3 bases versus 4, putting Dark in a position that should cost him this game, especially with supplies at 180 to 100.
Yeah, Dark just now finished his +2 missile weapons at the end of that last fight. Right after soO had just gotten to deal too much damage. And that's it. GG. soO takes the 2-1 victory over Dark. The best Zerg in the world.
That was a sick series, by the way. I cannot believe how well they both played. I thought that Dark did a really brilliant job considering that he was knocked on one hatch early on and forced the mutas. I thought he made it work and he was keeping soO super honest, but ultimately, you know, with those mutas, they don't have a lot of equity as the game goes on for a very long period of time.
Especially not when you lose them all to a spot with Spore Crawler.
Well, even though he lost him, I have to ask myself, what else could he have really done later on?
It's a difficult decision, but I feel like the real value was soO realized, hey, I'm not going to lose anything back at home. Time to push the advantage. And that's going to do it for our first best of 3. Stick around, guys. We got Classic versus Rogue coming up next.
Show